Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is just enjoying this time. I can tell you I'm in sunny Las Vegas and it is gorgeous outside. But I was really excited to be invited to help facilitate this discussion this morning. All of us, whether you're a practitioner, whether you're a broker or an owner, or you're thinking about making a change, you love where you're at. There's so many aspects of real estate that just seems so exciting. And first of all, I want to thank our partners, Realogy. They've been really kind of side by side, almost like an extension of our ARIA family. I want to thank them so much for their participation. I can tell you through my presidency and beyond, they've always been there. They have so much, they're always at the forefront of what's new in the industry and what's knowledgeable. So we just thank them for being on. In fact, what I'll do is I'd like to start and introduce our phenomenal panel here, and maybe they can just give us a short snippet of how they got into real estate, what's their current involvement, and maybe what is their one real estate superpower. I would really like to know what their biggest strength is. So maybe we'll start with Rich Green, Executive VP Worldwide Sales Realogy. I'm sure you're a busy man and you're actually stationary right now, so we caught you in one place, it looks like.
Yeah, I've been in one place for a while this year. So, well, good day, everyone, and thank you so much for joining today. And it's Realogy's real pleasure to support and help ARIA continue on its wonderful path. So I got in the business a long time ago, 30 plus years ago. My family had a real estate brokerage company back in the 1960s, of all things. I started my career in the mortgage banking industry, but ultimately ended up in the franchising space. And I've been the head of worldwide sales for the Realogy Group for the last 7 years or so ago. And then in terms of superpower, I can't think of a better one this year than to be Elastigirl. So I think that this year probably required the most flexibility of my entire tenure in the industry. And if you think about it, we're on a Zoom call, and back in January, that would have probably been the furthest thing from our minds. So again, great to be here today. Welcome. And we've got a great panel, so lots of experience. So thank you, Randy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for being here, Rich. Cool glasses, by the way. What color are those?
They're brown today.
They're brown because it almost looks, I don't know what color it looks. It almost looks kind of magenta or purple, but maybe it's just the lighting. So anyways, looking good. Bonnie, maybe you can share with us a little bit about your background and we're excited to have you today.
Yes, thank you. So I got into real estate back in 1985 by accident, actually. I was employed at a hospital, and I just tried to get away from office politics. Honestly, I didn't know what I was getting into. I took the test, I passed, then I just dove in. I love what I do. I shouldn't say it's a superpower, but what I love the most about this business is I have this genuine love for people. I just love people. And I'm able to relate to people immediately, and I can feel their energy and just go from there. So currently I am managing broker for Coldwell Banker office in Oakland, California, and I love it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Intuition is an important part of the business. I think we underrate the value of just the relationships and obviously we know you and love you, and we know how great you are. So thank you for being here. Maylene, you over
Hi.
there? Hey, how you doing?
Good, good.
Are those roses on your lapel?
Yeah.
All right, looking good. Share us your story.
Red for Aria.
And first of all, before you get on, Maylene, I wanted to thank you personally for just your involvement with ARIA over the years. You've been such an instrumental, team player for us, and you've done so many great things. And I know that you do it out of the goodness of your heart, but obviously you're a serious businesswoman as well. So maybe share with us a little bit about your background.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Greeting from Central New Jersey. Hey, Rich, are you in New Jersey?
I am, and it's unfortunately we're not having quite the weather that Randy is. It's quite rainy today, and maybe for another day or two. So, but it's been fairly warm. So this time of year, so I guess we really can't complain, Maylene.
No, no. And when Randy said it's sunny, I said, that's definitely not here in Central Jersey. Um, I'm in Middlesex County. I have two offices servicing Central Jersey, and my office is a Better Homes and Garden M3 Realty. And I celebrated my 30-year anniversary last year. And one of my superpowers, I just quickly came up. My family immigrated here from Hong Kong, and we grew up in the restaurant business. So being a waitress and multitasking is definitely my superpower.
That's no easy business, being in the restaurant business.
Yes.
Thank you. And then just for myself, just so you guys know, I think a lot of you know me. I was ARIA a national president, 2018. I joined ARIA probably around 2012, and it's been a wonderful ride. Served many different roles, but really just love the interaction and just the camaraderie that we have, and really the high level of professionalism that's across the whole organization. So even in these times, it's been crazy. I know our current president, James Wang, or actually our current president, Amy Kong. So both of them have had quite a ride, trying to keep up the spirit and keep up the content. But sessions like these that keep us up to date. So we're really grateful to have these. The session is really centered around mergers and acquisitions, but obviously we want to make it a little broader because not everyone is in the mode right now of being merged with or trying to acquire or be acquired. But I think at some point of our career, if you're successful in real estate, that is a consideration, whether you're making a move to another key brokerage, whether you're staying in-house and evolving, those are all considerations. So I guess I wanted to start with, Rich, you fly from kind of 1,000-mile, over 1,000-mile stare, so to speak, and you see quite a bit of what's going on in the industry. I'm curious, obviously, as we're talking today with our organization, we're huge advocates for the API community. In your opinion, how important is the business case for diversity in general that you're finding?
Yeah, so it's a great question and something that Realogy takes very seriously at its heart. We really believe that the real estate brokerage community needs to represent its communities in terms of its ethnic backgrounds better, and really has been a focus of us for a number of years, to the extent that we believe it really starts at every employee, but also continues to all of our relationships, not only throughout the country, but throughout the world. Realogy today does business in over 110 countries. And so, our worldwide footprint is really important, but it's important that the demographics that we all represent kind of represent, down at the ground level, even the offices that represent us. And so it's critically important to our success. It really is a vehicle for growth, which I think is really the most appropriate topic for today's conversation. And it's something that we fully endorse from a Realogy standpoint, whether that be ARIA or any of the diversity groups, candidly, Randy.
Yeah. And what is the current climate? I'm curious, what's the current climate of mergers and acquisitions, of people moving around? Do you find that it's about the same or less or more during these kind of more recent times here?
So it's been a crazy year. I think we all would say it's a crazy year. The reality is that 2020 was a very good year for mergers and acquisitions as we close out the year. We're in December, hard to believe, right? And so from an M&A standpoint, most of the people in the industry would say that the activity has been up. On behalf of Realogy, I can tell you that our business on the M&A front has doubled, meaning that from our franchisees, we have about 2,500 franchisees in the United States. Those franchisees have increased their growth through the M&A world, but also industry consultants tell us too. They're doing more evaluations of companies today. They're up about 300% from past years. And so it's been a very good year for that. And there's a lot of people that have simply been inquisitive, but it's been a roller coaster. If you could think back in the, when COVID first really entered the United States and became the buzzword of the year, people were preparing for very difficult times. And so some people at that point thought it was a good time to get out of the business. And then as we sit here today, the numbers just came out this morning. National Association of Realtors reported that while volume is down from September 1%, it's up 20% from October of last year. So right now, brokers are pretty busy and they don't have much time for M&A, But it is important to still think about growth, and it won't always be up 20% year over year. And so one of the things you can do is think about, all right, how am I doing? Am I up 20% or am I only up 10%? And if you're only up 10%, you're receiving obviously the benefit of the market, but it really means that you're losing some market share. And so whether that's recruiting or M&A work or things like that, those are things that you should consider based upon what are pretty incredible market dynamics.
Interesting. Well, Mei Ling, maybe share with us, when did you establish your own brokerage, and kind of how, and what was some of the decisions behind that of why you did it?
I started in sales, full-time sales back in 1986. So, and again, it was just like Bonnie says, it was like more like an accident. From one thing led to the other. So when I got into full-time sales, I became a local top producer very quickly in the first 2-3 years. And once you started being recognized in the local market, then a lot of local brokers started to approach you and start to recruit you. So one thing led to the next. And after reviewing or interviewing a couple of local offices, I decided by accident again and started my own brokerage by the third year in 1989.
And the brokerage you selected, maybe tell us why you selected, who you selected with and affiliated with.
Well, it was a great 30-year run as a small boutique shop in my local market. Probably I've gone through about maybe 3 cycles of the up and down of what we call cycles of real estate, where we had good, up and down. And the last cycle back in 2008, when we had the market crash with the bank and with the mortgage industry. So by then, around probably about 2012, 13, I realized that I needed to grow after a good 20 some odd year run with it, where you do end up hitting a plateau. And so finally, after exploring again, going through it again, another 24 years later, looking at different companies, I realized that the number one reason why I decided to join Better Homes and Garden was because of the brand recognition. So at the end of the day, after a good 24 years, name brand recognition is still a very, very much a big player in the industry.
Yeah, that's great. Sherry Chris, as you know, is very involved with ARIA. She's an incredible voice and a leader. She's actually one of the few, women CEOs in our business as well. And she's always had a pretty fresh outlook about what she wants the brand to do. Do you feel that resonated with you? Was that part of your decision in terms of the brand?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything that where I am today or where I'm sitting today, it's all a journey. And getting involved with ARIA and those doors open up, meeting up with really, so many different brokerages out there. And then Sherry being a leader out there in the industry. So one thing led to the next. And I'm very happy to be where I am today.
Well, that's great. All right. Well, I'm sure we're going to circle back around with you, but let's go over. Love to speak to the woman who just eats, sleeps, and lives real estate since she was practically born, Bonnie. Now you're kind of at the opposite end of the country. Maybe tell us what's going on in your world, how you got involved, and what's kind of the general makeup. I understand, you're more of a broker than a producer per se at this point, but yes. Maybe share that transition of how you started with that with your firm.
Absolutely. So I think that Vanessa had asked me how I have been kept relevant all these years. By the way, talking about branding, did I tell you I'm with Coldwell Banker?
No, it's important to know.
Coldwell Banker Realty. And I think especially right now, having that brand name behind you is so important. We're not local anymore. We're global, and we need to think big. And like Randy said, I'm extremely passionate about real estate business. I literally eat, sleep, and breathe real estate every day. And I would like to think that my character, which is some of my ideals, values, experience, knowledge and wisdom, which is a central part of me, coupled with charisma, good social skills, positive outlook, and drive for achievement, help me stay relevant in this market. I enjoy meeting new people, that human connection, and building relationship that last for centuries. Realtors are entrepreneurs, and the real estate business gives us freedom, and the possibilities are unlimited. I mean, there's no limitation. And we need to stay relevant in order to stay in business.
And what are the ways you feel are important, especially today, to stay relevant?
Just that building relationship, reaching out. This is, after all, I don't care about technology. I mean, technology is great, but hiding behind technology is not going to get us very far. I believe that technology enables us to be more efficient. However, bottom line is this is a people business. You need to go out there and touch people, talk to people, meet people. That is the bottom line. I've had agents come to me over the years and say, gosh, I think, World Wide Web is going to take over. Internet is going to take over our profession. What do I do? What do we do? I am a firm believer. We are not going to be obsolete. We are going to be around as long as humanity is around.
Yeah.
And so just reaching out, meeting people, touching people, that relationship building, and that's how you can stay relevant.
Yeah, well, yeah, thank you. And Maylene, would you agree how important is, and during these times, a lot of people, we hear different things like, hey, no, this is COVID. You want to stay home. You want to just, keep a low profile. What is your thought on reaching out and communicating and meeting people and all that?
I think COVID definitely, I'm sure it's out there that it really just speed everything up and put us all a little bit more fast track when it comes to technology, really bracing the idea of working remote, having, isolation and having conferences like this. And that's one aspect of it that I've gotten so far this year. But the other one is, again, it's we're all people, right? So I think we need to be sensitive when it comes to this, how we're handling COVID when it comes to real estate as well. I mean, sensitive in a sense where we're dealing with elderlies, we're dealing with the other side where you got young people that may not see us as important, but we have to really be more sensitive with that and be more cautious when it comes to selling and listing real estates today. So we just, go with we change the way we do business because we got to go with the flow with it. Yeah.
Sure. I think what I'm hearing here, folks, is that the human element is very important, and caring and putting people first is key, especially during these times. And don't be afraid to reach out. Just touch base with people. You just never know. I think that real estate is one of those things. It's just on everyone's mind nowadays. It just seems like, whether you're sitting around at a coffee shop and overhearing someone speak, they're talking about real estate. So that's good for you too, Rich, right? Keeps everybody in mind. So
no doubt. So what we're saying is, brands are doing very well. So at Realogy, we have approximately about 16% of the U.S. market share. We grew our share in the third quarter. But so did other leading companies. And I think during times of uncertainty, well-known brands are often the winner. And that's kind of what we're seeing, in terms of how the year has played out. And I also think there's probably two dynamics in the industry that are driving that. One is that the cost of technology, the thing that is actually helping all of us do our business today, continues to go up. And so that's difficult if you're owning your own brokerage companies. How do you deal with those costs associated with it? And then good news on the agent side, if you're an agent, is that more of the dollar goes to the agent today probably than ever before. But that means that there's less money for the broker owner. And so while there are 90,000 real estate brokerage companies in the United States, the big are getting bigger. And we probably ultimately will see some consolidation based upon the, how those costs are driving, big decisions by the big companies in the industry. But, crazy times, right?
Yep. As Bonnie mentioned, as you start out in the business, you produce, right? You buy, you sell, and then you become more well known in your submarket. And then obviously from there, you have, a little more attention, people looking at you. So in your opinion, Rich, what is it? How do you find the right fit? What's some good words of advice, with those that are kind of coming up through the business and saying, hey, I might want to be taking that next step, like the two young people. What do you think?
Look, I think if you're an agent, you want to align yourself with a company that has the ability to increase your transactions. And so, one of the big things we always focus on is, what is a, brokerage's per person productivity? Do they have the ability to help you grow your units? And then over time, for those that may be appropriate, there may be some people who want to grow their average sales price. And so, alignment is important in those two key categories. So sometimes it's a lot less about commission split. It's about, can you become more productive? And is, surrounding yourself with very experienced people like Bonnie and Mei Ling. Certainly based upon my brief introduction with them, I know I would seek them out based upon what they've shared in our prep meeting as well as today.
And then, okay, so that's from maybe an agent perspective of choosing their brokerage, et cetera. Let's talk about if you're a broker, and let's say you're an independent broker and you're considering saying, I'm doing my own thing, like I think Bonnie and Mei Ling, and now I'm considering affiliating with the brand. What are some of the considerations there?
So certainly training is one of the big things. And, we've had the benefit this year. We've got a centralized training operation that works on behalf of all the brands at Realogy. We have done over 100,000 sessions with agents virtually, since March, which is really hard to believe. In the early days of the pandemic in March, we were doing 75,000 Zoom or Teams meetings. And so it's really been incredible to have that type of infrastructure behind it. So from a Realogy standpoint, we spend in excess of $200 million a year on technology. And so, the local brokerage companies simply can't do that. So I think, technology ability and spend and wherewithal certainly is a key consideration if you're going to make a long-term commitment to a player. What can they do to help you? Because it takes approximately 7 to 11 technology products to run a brokerage company today. Back in the 1960s, when my father owned the brokerage company, the MLS book was in the back seat of the car. I used to sit on it. It was my baby seat, so like the world has changed tremendously, but the typical broker owner is not the person that's most equipped to make all of those technology decisions. You really need experts to do it. So that's just one of many considerations, but it's probably one of the biggest things today, I think.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you kind of burst my bubble because I thought we were the only video session this year that Realogy did, and now we're only one of 100,000.
Yeah,
so maybe, but this one's special, folks. This is the one to be at, of course. So Bonnie, Mei Ling, maybe share with us kind of, if you can kind of reflect back when you did make your transition and you were, affiliating. What was the makeup of your team at that time, and what ultimately said, what, this is why I jumped in?
For my transition, the value proposition of Better Homes and Garden was definitely a light bulb that went off. Yeah. So as Rich said, there's just so much tools out there that, as a small independent, that I would not be able to have access to, and reinventing the wheel is just not I don't have the access, the resource, and the fundings to do all that. There's just no way for a small boutique shop. So the value proposition that we sat down and looked at was definitely a decision maker for me, to say that for me to go from a small boutique shop, even though I've been in the industry for so long, that I need to affiliate myself with the big brothers, I say. Yeah.
Yeah, but were you nervous at the time for the change, as well as, let's face it, it doesn't come for free, right? There's a cost associated with making that change. Were you concerned about what you were giving up as an independent that you have to essentially invest in with new, or was that pretty easy decision for you at that stage?
I think it we all are entrepreneurs, like Bonnie echo. I echo that, right? I mean, we need to, as a broker owner or as a top producing sales agent, before you know it, you're gonna need to view your business as a business. So the minute that you're ready to take on something new and something bigger, there's always investments that you need to put in, right? So I'm a numbers person, so you definitely have to, do your spreadsheet and evaluate and just look at it as a business. And if you want to grow, you got to invest into it. Yeah. So it was
what was
really,
your approach to that?
yeah.
Then when you joined, where were you? How many agents did you have? And then, how did that progress from that point?
When I joined, I have two offices, and my sales staff was about, let's say, 20 full-time, about maybe 30 part-time sales staff. And this is my second year joining. My first year was all of 2019, and then of course 2020, with the mix of COVID, it's been a very challenging year for all of us.
I think I might have lost you for a second. We're going to come back to you, Maylene. Bonnie, you have quite a large office. You have what is it, 83 agents, something like that?
Yep.
I know it didn't happen overnight,
No, it didn't.
How did it grow for you?
So, as Maylene said, when I first got into real estate, I knew that I needed to be with brand name. I wanted to play in the ocean, not in a pond. So I seeked the name brand, Century 21, and then to Coldwell Banker. So then I became a manager in 2008. I managed some offices in South Bay, Los Altos particular. And then when I joined Coldwell Banker, they sent me to Half Moon Bay, a small, very small town, and managed that office. I had about 30 agents there. Now, like I said, I wanted to play in the ocean, not in a pond. And so I was there for about 4 years. I commuted every day from San Jose, 3 hours each day, but I loved it. But again,
That's your real superpower, by the way. That's what I would have said. You can love driving for 3 hours. I don't know anybody else that I know that likes to go 3 hours commuting.
yeah, I love driving too, that too. So then I was offered an opportunity in Oakland. And again, I was still in San Jose, and would be in another 3 hour travel each day. And here there was a more opportunity. When I joined this office, when I took over this office, I had about 55 agents. That was 2018 March 21st to be exact. And once I affiliated here, took over the office, I had about 5 agents. They were already planning to leave or going out of business. So I ended up with 50. Right now I have 83. I have 83 agents, and it's, and obviously not everybody's working full time selling tons of homes. There's certain, obviously 20% does 80% business, as you know. And I love what I do. My main focus is to recruit and retain. Retain, recruit, retain. That is my mantra. I wake up in the morning, and my job is to help agents and to retain and to recruit. So it doesn't, it takes a lot of work. And I mean, I know Vanessa again asked me how to get adjusted to moving from different area and be successful. Different area mean, you know, Half Moon Bay was this island of its own. And I'm here in a big city, Oakland. We've got, I mean, it's a huge area here. And, you know, I immigrated here from Korea when I was young. And when I was preparing to immigrate here, I was told that it will take a year to be able to speak English. Therefore, I just kind of waited around thinking that I would speak English automatically. I realized that nothing was going to happen until I did something about it. And I was determined to be assimilated into my new home country. You know, changing brokerages or moving into a different area, you really need to quickly learn and assimilate to your new environment. And that's really important. Get to know the colleagues, in your new office or new brokerage. Find that 20% who does 80% business, and introduce yourself. Take them to lunch, coffee, and network. It's really important. And go on broker tours, preview your office listings, preview other brokers' listings, visit local area landmarks, know the history of the town and its people, learn about private schools, public schools, everything that you can possibly learn of that town. And it's all about exposure and be proactive and to get yourself out there and not to be a secret agent.
No, I think I can see, I can see you being a wonderful coach. Obviously, congratulations with your growth, and especially during these times, it obviously speaks volumes for your leadership. I love how you mentioned too that your job is, I guess these would be key factors for growth, right? Recruiting, but also retaining. And I think a lot of times people underestimate the importance of retaining their folks and keeping people happy on their team. What are some of your what is maybe a key for the loyalty on your team? And maybe
Well, like I mentioned, oh, I'm sorry.
No, Bonnie, I want to hear from you too. Bonnie, go ahead, you first.
Well, you asked about my superpower. It's about love for people. I love my agents. I don't make any judgments. I take them for who they are, mailing, and we all know there's a lot of special people out there. But, we're all unique individuals and everybody needs different things. And so I am very focused and vigilant about what the needs of my agents are individually. And with that, the show that I care, and, they know that I care, and I'll go beyond Call of Duty to make sure that they're taken care of. And I would say that would be number one thing that I do.
That's great. Mainly, I don't know if you're situated back, but if you wanted to answer that, as well as, your success for retaining your folks, you certainly can chime in on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Somehow the phones got dropped and rainstorm here. Yeah. But definitely, I would say that I put my agents first. I mean, they know that, and I want to make sure that they know that I'm a producing broker, and I'm I run my office, but I'm also actively producing. And I see people say that, oh, you're not going to compete with your broker, but I feel like as long as I'm out there producing, I'm very much in touch with the local market, and I'm feeling the pulse of the market. And, being, what's the latest trend or what's the latest sales price, and again, meeting all the competitors out there is just as important for me. Yeah. But the most important thing is that they need to know that I'm not competing with them, that by me being out there producing, I'm actually working with them side by side.
Yeah, no, this is great because, Bonnie, you seem like you're more full-time management, overseeing, and mainly you're kind of a lead by example, right? You're doing it, but at the same time, you're not competing with your agents, and that's a fine line. Rich, in your opinion, when you're advising people to make a change, or people are independent or thinking about making a change, what are some of the things that you ask them to consider and think about, and what, as far as the benefit of potentially picking one of the brands?
Yeah, it's probably a little less about brands, but it's about building your own business and being an entrepreneur and where you want to go as an individual. So as I mentioned earlier, there's 90,000 brokerage companies in the United States. There are about 6,000 which have any type of size. So
And
there's,
what would be a sizable brokerage?
north of a couple 100,000 in gross commission income on an annual basis.
Okay.
So,
All right.
so it's
It doesn't
a
have to be
fairly,
a mega, not necessarily a mega office, but
No.
hey, they're doing the business and obviously active.
yeah. So it's a fairly low bar, but at the end of the day, I always go back to, why did you put your own shingle out front? And what is it that you're trying to achieve? Obviously, you're trying to make, income for yourselves. You're trying to support those people that have joined your organization. And ultimately, you're trying to build an asset, something that, you can over time potentially sell. And so, based upon the description of the 90,000 companies and only, arguably 6 building something of value, I think that becomes a big decision point for people in terms of maybe seeking an alignment with a partner that can help you take the business to another level. We like to say that there's a wheel when you're running a brokerage operation and all the things that you have to do. And obviously you need to list and sell real estate, but you've got to hire agents, you got to run technology, you've got to run PR, you've got to keep the lights on and all those things that go into it. And the question is, do you have enough time? Do you have enough resources? Do you have enough money to make all that happen? That can be very challenging. And the reality is that most people who become an entrepreneur in the real estate business listed and sold real estate for a living. That was the main reason they got in business. There's exceptions to that, obviously. And so the question is, how can we help those people, be better off, with someone than without someone? And so that's kind of our philosophy from a Realogy standpoint. But those are reasons why you should maybe consider doing something, with a partner that can help you, so that you can build an asset that's really driving. If that's not what you're really interested in, or you're simply, primarily focused on listing and selling real estate, and that's good enough, then you're probably fine doing what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. One thing that we haven't spoke about, Rich, is, okay, let's say someone in their mind says, okay, there's a good fit here, right? These companies, they want to make a change. How do you look at valuation? How do you help them sort out to make sense of whether they're going to merge with someone else or be acquired?
Yeah. So if a company is interested in perhaps either doing a merger or an acquisition, there are, various ways that you can do it. There's plenty of good books out there that we use as a resource. There's industry consultants. We train our franchise sales organization on how to help value companies. So there's plenty of expert advice in terms of, how you can, view the valuation of a business. I think the one thing that's unique about the real estate industry, and which also unfortunately impacts value, not always in a positive way, is that the real key of the real estate transaction, if you're going to merge or acquire a company, is that real estate agents have fees, and so that tends to have an impact of lowering the value sometimes on companies, because you have to align with what is a really good culture for that company, and it takes a lot of work and effort to do that, and it's not too easy to find a partner, so it does take time. So if you are looking to exit the business or do something different, it's something you have to work at. We can help you from a third-party standpoint, meaning that our franchise sales individuals go out and try and find good partners for you. But it does take, work, energy, and effort. And then if you're selling your company, it's not one of those situations where 100% of the money typically is going to be paid up front. Typically, there's going to be a percentage that's paid up front, but there's a percentage that's going to be paid over time, typically usually around a 3-year period of time. So one of the things I like to tell our salespeople is, if a real estate broker has a 5-year horizon, in 5 years, I'm going to leave New Jersey, I'm going to retire in Florida. The reality is if I'm going to have a 3-year earnout to get, all of my money, it means I have 24 months to really find an appropriate buyer of my business, consummate a transaction, and kind of cross the finish line so that I can get the clock ticking on that 3-year period of earnout. So it does take some work. It takes a lot of effort, kind of like when you're recruiting someone. It's one of those things you just can't do it once. It's going to take some energy, some time commitment, and hopefully a positive result will ultimately follow.
Yeah, and for Bonnie and Mei Ling, have you guys even considered when you joined Coldwell Banker and Better Homes, did you guys even consider your end strategy, your exit strategy? What does that look like? Bonnie, are you going to do it till the day the day you go? It sounds like from the day you're born to the day you go, or do you have kind of the end in mind for you? And what does that look like for both of you guys?
Actually, one of the beauties of this profession, real estate, is that there's no discrimination against age. And so, to be honest, Randy, I have not. I am going to. I intend to work as long as I could.
Okay.
And I'm trying to keep up with my husband and golf as much as I can. However, that will come later. But I intend to do what I enjoy the best right now. So
Right.
I don't really have any exit plan in mind.
Mei-Ling, have you thought about it? Wait, I can't hear you. You got to put the mute.
Yeah, I said, sure, definitely. I would say that part of being with a Realogy, or part of being with such a big organization, you're definitely surrounded by a lot of leaders out there, and having franchise consultants and having franchise salespeople talk to you, and always checking in and coaching you is you want to you can't help but lead towards that direction. And it's all about growth, right? Growth. At some point you're going to need to say, okay, where do you want to go from 2-year plan? Where do you want to go 3-year plan, 5-year plan? So absolutely, that's a pretty much a everyday conversation when you are surrounded by knowledgeable people that's out there that constantly lead you into that growth mode. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would imagine that maybe you don't think about it every day, but I think all of us that are in the business that want to help other people grow, we want to leave a good legacy, right? We want to leave something behind to people, and so part of that is creating the right culture. So maybe you guys can share with me a little bit about some of your recruiting effort. What are some of the best practices to gain the right and find the right people for your organization?
I'm going to need to get a lot of good ideas and tips from Bonnie.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. So, when I have, first of all, I reach out to my agents that's how I get contacts. Reach out to my agents, says, hey, I need your help. We need to attract more talents like you. And please, give me the names and numbers of people that we'd like to have be part of our team. So once I do get a contact information, these days what I found is a lot of people do not like to answer the call, especially from me. Right? They know that I'm branch manager, and they know when I call that so I usually like to send out introduction email. They tend to respond better that way. And in that email, I briefly introduce myself and ask to meet. Hey, I have this week available. Would Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday this time be better for you? And when you just kind of give them, these are the times I'm available, they'll say, well, I can't do Wednesday, but I can do Tuesday. So then when they come in, I really sit down, and I don't care who they are with and what they've been doing. I just simply ask a question. What are you looking for? What makes you happy? What do you like about where you are? And what are some of the things that you may want to change? And it's not, when I introduce myself, I usually ask them, even though, you may be happy and even though you're not thinking about changing brokerages, wouldn't you at least talk to someone, somebody else, another brokerage, so that in the event that you need to change, let me be the spare tire. And so
Right.
that's how I start conversation, really wanting to know what they like about where they are, and what are some of the things that they're not happy about where they are. Because when I do talk about what I could offer, I don't want to tell them what they're not happy about where they are. And that's how I find out their what they're looking for and what I can offer, because the last thing I'm going to do is promise them something that I cannot deliver. And if I feel that what they're looking for is not something that I can offer, well, perhaps this is not a good fit. And that's how I start.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That was good words of advice there. We've been talking about a lot of things that are good, just good advice, just good sound business practices for anybody. I'd like to dive just a little bit deeper as we're kind of starting to wrap up about the diversity aspect. How do you use diversity on your team? If you have a diverse staff, how does that play into kind of your power? And what do you think were some of the benefits of having a diverse sales force?
I'll let Mei-Ling go first.
Sure. Yeah. I think I mentioned that I speak Chinglish. That's
I love that.
the language, right? Because I grew up here, and being probably the two Chinese students in my high school, I was not thinking diversity. I was not thinking culture. But after I graduated, after coming back to my hometown and getting involved in local real estate, I realized that diversity, culture, and myself speaking Chinese and English became a very, very advantageous as being bilingual. So working with my first client and speaking their own language, especially when it comes to a real estate transaction that's so important, the comfort level, the guard just went down. And I just realized that, oh my God, being sensitive with the language, being sensitive with culture had such an important play. And it was a big aha moment for me when I remember dealing with my first sales, and they happened to be a elderly Chinese couple looking to buy their first home in my hometown. Yeah. So,
wow.
and there, I realized that, culture, diversity is very much part of it. And being a young, new agent, and I wasn't aware of it until you experienced it. Yeah.
I commend you for that. And this is why real estate is so great. We have an opportunity in real estate to have equal, if not even better earning power because of the power of being bilingual, whether you speak Chinglish, or in my case, I just speak English as a second language and I don't have a first. But, for the rest of you folks, I think it provides a wonderful opportunity. I think, Bonnie, you might want to chime in on that.
So I came here from Korea when I was 14 years old. And like Mei-Ling, when we settled in Northern California, I was the only Asian person in the whole area there. In fact, when I entered the high school, the local newspaper came and took a picture of us because they never seen Asians before.
Wow.
And but they were so helpful. Everybody helped, taught us. They came to teach us play piano, teach us English, and they took us everywhere. And I've always appreciated it very much. And I always thought that I want to do the same. Diversity means understanding that everyone is unique and recognizing our individual differences. And I also believe that diversity builds strength and fosters innovation and problem solving by pushing everyone to look at things from different perspectives. And, Coldwell Banker, diversity is a fundamental value in Coldwell Banker. We are strengthening our culture of diversity by opening dialogues and action with our staff and our agents. And I'm very proud to say that our office, my office here in Oakland, is one of the most diverse office in the whole area. Mm. I enjoy learning different culture. We have different languages, we have all different walks of life, and we learn so much. and we serve our clientele in our area are very diverse. And so of course, we have to be diverse to be able to serve their needs. So I'm really happy that we're talking about this, that, especially this year, 2020, I think that more of us are more aware of, having to be in a diverse community and having to, also working more diverse environment.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. Even for myself, I've had a couple agents recently come on board that speak, 2, 3 languages, and I can just see how like the doors open up because they get the skill sets they need, right, through your coaching, right, Bonnie? But
Yeah.
then they have this just added benefit, this added advantage that they can really leverage, not just for themselves, but for the benefit of the whole brokerage, right? There's a synergy that works there. The more cultures are represented.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Rich, I can only go ahead.
Want to just add one thought into that is, I have agents that speaks, like you said, your second language is English, and that's you speak. So being sensitive with culture, and then also teaming up with and partnering up with people that speak Spanish, or speaks German or Chinese or Korean. I think is you have the resources, and you have definitely access to all kinds of languages by teaming up with other salespeople that speaks the language.
Right. And this is one of the few businesses where you are allowed, or you can collaborate across state lines, or even within, the same market with other agents. That's what's a wonderful aspect of our business. And then for you, Rich, obviously, you probably heard, these are 2 amazing stories that you've heard, today, just on their background. And you know what I love about you guys too is, Mei-Ling and Bonnie, is that you come across so humble about it. But let's face it, it wasn't that easy in the beginning for a lot of reasons. You've overcome a lot of obstacles, and you've turned it around in a very positive way, and grown from it. So I commend you for that. But from Rich, your standpoint, you see so many people in your recruiting efforts. What do you think when you come across a potential broker candidate that is of a diverse background? What are you finding out there is been good advice or a good connection?
Well, I think even back to Mei-Ling and Bonnie, I think, Mei-Ling used the word comfortable. And I think that's really important. So, the real estate transaction is highly complex, and having diversity of thought involved in a transaction is one of the best things you can do. Whether that's in a transaction, it's how you run your business, it's how you represent the community. We all, certainly there's intentional bias, which there is no room for, but there's unintentional bias. Matter of fact, I was trained on it this morning, part of the Realogy training program. And unintentional bias it's really about, it's how you're raised. There are things that you may not understand as well as others. And by having diverse thought, you really improve the chances of having people become more comfortable. And I think that's incredibly important, especially in a complex financial transaction like buying or selling a piece of real estate. And so whether it's that part of the transaction, or it's a broker representing one of our brands that can bring things to the table that others may not see, that is something that we very much welcome. And it really is a formula for success. It's a formula for growth. And it's a formula to make home ownership, incredibly more valuable for as many people as possible. That's what drives our industry. We're all fortunate this year. Volume is up substantially from really, we were kind of stuck around 5 million units for almost a decade. And it seems like we're starting to break through that number here in the second half of the year. And that's great news for all of us. But just think if we could make more people comfortable about the buying and selling process, what that could do for everyone. First off, it improves home ownership. That's arguably the American dream. It improves our businesses. It improves the overall economy. And so, there's a lot that diversity can drive that can benefit in so many different ways that, at times we don't even think of all the things that it can help improve.
Yep. And kind of in closing, and that's what ARIA is about, right? We've fought hard on, even in campaigning for language access rights, right? And credit, alternative credit. And those are the reasons why, in a big picture way, why we're all here is to open that opportunity up for the API community. I love the stories that I've heard here. I thank you so much, Bonnie, Rich, Mei Ling. It was a very rich conversation, and I thought that I hope you and the audience, we're able to take something away from it. We all love what we do. We all love to give, and that's why we're on this call. And I really appreciate all of your time for sharing your thoughts and your advice. So, have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you
And,
all.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for hosting, Randy.
all right, bye-bye. Welcome. Anytime.